my dream has always been to play with the French team, and especially French champions. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, there's a good amount of time where people are canceling because they figure out that we're a female team. So I can't get this idea of being exhausted and playing too much because I've never been in that situation.
What happened there, actually? What happened there with no coach? Are you allowed? Are you allowed to talk about it?
Yeah, I can talk about it.
It's now time to move overseas to EMEA and bring on another wonderful guest, Sia of Tenstar, who's here to join us today. The last time she was on the show was for our 100th episode, and this time she's able to come back in to talk about how things have been going for Sia. So, Sienna, welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for your time. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you guys?
Chilling.
Good.
I need to ask you, how's the hairstyle like this?
No.
Is it too nerdy? Is it? I need to maybe just hide it, right? Oh, you
Yeah,
know what?
it's very
Actually, that's better.
nerdy.
Right there you go. There you go. I think that makes a change right there. But Sia, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for your time. Let's go ahead and talk about how things have been going with you over at the EMEA and your career overall since the last time we spoke. Because the last time we spoke, you were still playing for Rix.gg. You guys are making an impact, or you were making an impact in that team, and then now you're with Tenstar. So talk me through the evolution of going from Rix.gg and why over to Tenstar after.
I would say because my dream has always been to play with the French team and especially French champions. So when we got the offer from Tenstar to play with them, it was pretty obvious for me to directly go to Tenstar. With all respect to my old teammates, it's just it was a dream for me to perform in a French team and just speak French basically.
Awesome. I'd love to continue in French here too, by the way, but I don't think it's going to help Tanner or Dryad unless we go into Spanish or something.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, English only, please. Adios mío is the only Spanish I know. So I noticed that Kim also kind of had followed you over towards that 10-star roster. Is that something that you requested specifically, or does she kind of have that same background and the same ideals to move from that Rix team to the 10-star team?
It was more her requesting me. It was more
Okay.
me following Kim because she knows Cla. Cla is one of her very best friends, and they've been knowing each other for such a long time. They've been playing Counter-Strike together. They've been pro in Counter-Strike together. So she asked me to follow her, and I went for it because my growth ever since I met Kim and Tenstar has been huge, and I was I have to stay with that person because I keep on growing whenever I play with her.
Nice. Sorry to continue on. Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. You said it is exactly what you wanted. You wanted to join the org. It was a pretty easy kind of decision for you. Was it? Do you think it fulfilled your expectations? Do you think it's still kind of early because the journeys can be very long, or how do you feel about it right now?
Half and half. I feel like it is still early because we've been playing together for 4 months. It's nothing compared to the other teams. But on the other side, what we achieved for the amount of work we've put in, it's insane to me. So I feel early, but the journey is gonna be amazing and everything's good for now.
Yeah. Does any of that also comes in the recent addition of your performance coach to get the right mental into there, because you brought in Coco as a performance coach back in September. Have you had a chance to speak with this person yet? Work with this person? What has Coco brought over to Tenstar and for the team as well?
I would say he definitely helped, but I don't know if it really changed the matter to me personally, but I know it changed for other players. For example, Nello, she had private sessions with him, and she kind of had troubles with her mental in game, and ever since she talked with Coco and had sessions with him, she got so much better at not tilting, and he helped a lot around that, honestly.
I feel that's super important as well to have, because that was something that was with 100 Thieves, for example, when Will was getting a lot of flack from the community on Reddit or whatnot. It kind of hindered his performances and his confidence to play online. And his performance coach, quote unquote, was pretty much DDK at that point too, amongst other people that was under the 100 Thieves regime, to how do you deal with that type of pressure? How do you evolve into that too? And how do you get over that that pressure that comes out from the community? And then you saw Will just do and play amazingly through the LCQ and also at Champions. So I think it definitely fits the right people and the right mentality at that point as well. Tanner, you're looking back and forth and smiling. I don't know if you're like, oh, it's
Yo,
not true. You're
dude,
bullshitting.
listen, I have no clue what you guys are even talking about. My internet has been going in and out for like the past 2. I heard Coco, and then I came back in and I was looking left to right like I was Sly Fox about to steal something.
That's awesome.
So I apologize. I didn't mean to. I'm
It's
the
okay.
problem child. That's my
You stole the
fault.
mic time. It's all good. It's all good.
That's
But
my fault.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But also for performance coaches, I think it's also important to have like the team chemistry as well, right? Sia, and if I'm not mistaken, there's like even graphics of you like cooking for the team or something like that as well.
Oh yeah.
How's the camaraderie been with the girls together so far?
I mean, bootcamp buff is a real thing. Like team
Mhm.
building and like boot camping helps a lot. Like when it comes to trusting each other.
Yes.
So it's been amazing. Like I don't think we would have performed that well if we didn't have a boot camp.
And
Eh,
was that also with like not only the boot camp, but that helps with like the versus like the other teams that you've been with. Have you had boot camps with Rigs.gg or something like that as well?
No, never. That was my first boot camp ever. So like
Oh,
kind of
okay.
stressful, but on the other side, it was amazing experience.
That's awesome.
It always sounds like such a fun experience. Just being in a boot camp, being able to actually be there with your teammates and get something done, even individually. When I ask you, and throughout this year and throughout your career, tell me how you felt and kind of the reflection that you have now that it is a little bit more chill for the rest of the year and until everything starts back up next year.
Um, I didn't really understand the question. I
So
was more like listening to a story than actually getting a question. Sorry.
yeah, so how do you feel about the kind of like the reflection of this
Hmm.
entire year and just kind of chilling before the next year starts?
I feel like we can't really chill because we have no idea what's gonna happen within
Mhm.
like game changer. Like
Mhm.
we don't know what's happening
Mhm.
yet. Like the only thing we know is that there's gonna be champions soon, but like we're not qualified, so that doesn't matter to us. Like we can't chill because imagine, surprise, there's a game changer in January and we don't know about it for now. So I don't know. We have to work instantly. Like next week we're starting practice again and we're going down for it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so, I'd seen you talking to the chat previously. You're the current IGL for the 10-star squad
No,
right now?
I'm not anymore.
No,
I was
not
talking
anymore.
about it when I used to IGL.
Okay, so when you
Mm.
use IGL, so what is that? So, if you guys didn't see the chat message, Sia was saying that IGL helps because the ADHD sometimes doesn't on the server, and being the IGL obviously helps you focus more. So, what is something that you do as somebody who has a harder time focusing on the server now that you're not IGLing?
Yeah.
What is kind of your ritual or what keeps you grounded?
Definitely what helped me the most out of everything I've tried was having notes around my screen everywhere. Notes, notes,
Mm.
notes, notes, notes. And every rounds before like the beginning of the rounds on a freeze time, I would look at my
Mm.
notes and it would help me focus. Remembering what I have to do, remembering like what I have to not do, like yeah, notes definitely.
Mhm.
Okay, interesting.
To get back to what you were talking about before too, in terms of we don't know what's next going on for game changers. So obviously, there hasn't really been any type of conversation in terms of like an off season, just like the
Yeah.
VCT currently has. Right, there's been a shit ton of tournaments that have been announced. What do you think could be something that the community could do to continue to support the women's scene or the game changer scene until we get ready to what's coming up in 2023?
Um, I don't have much idea oh yeah, when it comes to community, for example, I would say like
Hmm.
having more exposure from like the not like smallest like medias. Like for
Hmm.
example, I feel like as a French team, we don't have enough exposure from the French medias,
Mm.
and they talk a lot about like I don't know. Of course, it's a big thing. Wow, Scream might join a French organization with his
Hmm.
brother, but I feel like we could have been like a subject of conversation in this media, and
I
we have
see.
not.
Hmm. So it's at least more exposure in terms of like the media and basically what for example Paper X has done at their facility, having a mural and stuff like that too. Guild having that graffiti on the top that also has one of their players from the
Yeah.
Game Changers in there, like Roxy on the wall too. So that type
Mhm.
of support that you like to have in terms of like more exposure for the team and you as a player would be helpful too.
Yeah, I feel like exposure and representation matters a lot, like a whole
Hmm.
lot. And I don't know, there might be like some little girls, because when I was younger, I was like, I don't know, 13, 12, I was looking at like older player, like I
Mhm.
don't know, like Pla, who's in my team, like Kim, who's in my team, and I was like dreaming of, being them and being at their
Mhm.
spot. And I feel like maybe if we have more exposure and more representation, we could give like this idea of a dream to like younger girls. And
Mhm. Mhm.
Mhm.
yeah, it would be really good to have more representation.
Awesome.
And besides that representation and exposure, is there something that you would like to see that maybe you thought it would be a good idea for the Game Changer scene next year that maybe you haven't seen before?
That wouldn't come from the community, that would come from Riot directly, but I feel like having a game changer league will matter a lot, with like
Mhm.
Mm.
having weekly games, like something that's not once every 3 months,
Uh,
and a league would be
but
so interesting.
are you afraid on the other end too that if the league is going to come for Game Changers in 2023, so a partnership program, let's say for Game Changers, and let's say in Europe it's going to be another one of those, oh well, we're only going to allow 5 teams, and then you're looking at what's going on in Game Changers at the EMEA, there's at least like a good 10, 15 teams that are signed right in Europe. So are you afraid of going through that type of interview process as well as Tenstar?
Yeah, that's really scary, not gonna lie,
Mhm.
because that would be like a really damaging thing to the scene if you have to be like accepted to play in the league. But on the other side, I feel like Riot will be smart about it, and
Mhm.
they
Mhm.
would
Mhm.
understand that it's not like male teams, there's not enough female teams to do like this franchise thing. So
I see. I see.
I
I see.
have hope.
Mhm.
I would hope that as much as I love like the academy scene, I would hope that because we do have a flourishing game changer scene for Valorant specifically, that instead of taking the League of Legends template and saying, main team academy team, we have main team game changers team, and then eventually all of that gets, merged together. Because the game changers team would kind of act as an academy team
Yeah.
and play in their own thing. That'd be super cool to see. That's not where I'm headed with my next question. And I may have just forgot what I was going to ask by saying that. So you guys kind of walked. Oh, okay. Hold on, I'm back. I'm sorry. Okay, serious face. Um, in North America, I mean, we just saw it where NRG puts on a tournament for the game changer scene, Neon Dreams. We see the top teams come out. Is that something that you've maybe spoke with, if not Tenstar, Rick's, GG in the past to say, hey, why aren't we putting on these tournaments? Like, we can get the funding for it. Let's if Riot isn't going to give us a space yet to put on these tournaments, why don't we do it ourselves?
I mean, Rix did it. Rix used to do Huntress Trials. The thing is that
Mhm.
when you're part of the organization that does the tournament, you can't
Yeah,
participate in it.
that's
Yeah.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
that's kind
conflict
of
of
the issue
interest,
right
eh?
now.
Yeah, yeah,
We
yeah,
have like
yeah.
okay.
outside tournaments, like I don't know if you know the Observer Mel. She did like
Mhm.
the Medusa tournament.
Yeah, the Medusa.
She
Yeah,
did the
Yeah.
yeah.
Medusa series. But I feel like even though we have that, and thank God we have that outside of Game Changer, it's still not enough. We need more, more, more. We need to play like we only play like I don't know 4 weeks a year in a
Mhm.
tournament. That's
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
small compared to like the amount of work we put in and the amount of salary we get throughout the whole year compared to like the time we're actually gonna play.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
if you don't want, if it's too much salary, so yeah, I will gladly that I would glad. No, I know that it's kind of a big thing, and I would imagine kind of across the scene in general. But what is it like in finding scrims as a game changers team? Is that something that you guys are struggling with as a whole, or how is it on the MEA side?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, there's a good amount of time where people are canceling because they figure out that we're a female team. So even
mm.
though we will 100% wreck them, but
They're
Right.
afraid of
Yeah.
that. They're afraid of that.
I
yeah,
was hoping that
probably would
wasn't the
hurt their
answer.
ego.
Exactly, exactly. Fuck them. Fuck them.
Yeah,
That's all we want to
precisely.
say about
Fuck
that.
them.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dan. I think you had something queued up.
Yeah, I want to ask. You say, obviously you want to play more. Everybody seems like they want to play more in the game changer scene. Do you think there? What do you think is the balance, right? Because we've also heard stories of players feeling like they're always playing, they're always traveling, even in the tier one scene, and that can also be exhausting, right? What do you think would be an ideal kind of scenario that maybe or you're playing for a month, then you take a break, maybe something international, something like Masters One? Is that kind of something that you're hoping for game changers?
I don't, I don't know. Maybe I can't get this idea of being exhausted and playing too much because I've never been in that situation.
Mm.
Like
Mhm.
I play once every 3 months in a tournament, if not 5 months. Like I can't project myself in a position where it would be like too much to play because I dream of playing too much actually. Like that I
Mhm.
want to play too much. I want to be exhausted of gaming. I don't know the sensation. Like you know.
You actually even tweeted that out, like after you guys lost, and exited of Game Changers, and there's a break of like, fuck, I just want to play right away. Like you don't want this break to happen, so that's
Mhm.
what
Yeah.
we're also hoping that there's going to be a little bit more, third parties opening their eyes to support the women's scene over in Europe. But well, let's get into that and talk about the run for Tenstar in Game Changers overall. So I know you're frowning a little bit because it was like one of those moments that it's like so close yet so far, finishing
Mhm.
fourth in a tournament. But let's look through the bracket. I think one of the biggest matchups to start things off, I think personally for yourself in your career, is to have to play against your old team, right? So you
Yeah.
Tenstar did play against Rix.gg at some point throughout the tournament. What was that
Yeah.
like for you? Was that difficult to play? Was that easier to call against of course for your IGL because you've IGL'd 4 Ricks before, so you kind of know their tendencies? Or talk to me through that game.
I didn't feel much pressure playing against Ricks, not because I think they're weak or anything. It's
Hmm.
just like I, I had to be confident. I had to
Mhm.
because if I accepted that pressure when it came around like playing against my old team,
Hmm.
I would have failed. So I just like I was
Mm.
like, yeah, whatever, let's go for it. And I didn't treat this match like more than any other. It was just like, yeah, it feels bad if I win against my old teammates, they're gonna be out, but on the other side, I have to do it. So
Hmm.
I just went
Hmm.
for it. Like we threw the first map though. Like we choked on the first map really hard. I'm not
Still
gonna
made it
mention the
through.
first
Still made
map.
it through. Still made it through.
Mm, yeah,
Uh,
precisely.
so obviously, I never know. I've never been a competitor at the highest level, so I don't ever know what the feeling is like when you do eventually lose. You do eventually get knocked out. Then you go on to see the team that beat you, and you're like, "Well, shit, they won the whole thing, right?" How do you feel that you guys shaped up against this Guild X team, who did eventually go on to kind of shock the scene?
I mean, very happy for Guild X, but on the other
Mhm.
side, very frustrated for myself because it's not
Mhm.
about like I would rather have lost against Guild like 13-3 or like 13-0. We lost 15-13 and we had the
Mhm.
advantage and we threw this game. So like it was even harder for me to like losing against them because it was this close. And it was not
Mhm.
just against Guild, against Navi as well. Close game, winning 10-5, losing 13-11. Like
Mm.
very frustrated, very, very frustrated, but also like happy for Guild, on some way. It's hard to say, but happy for Guild.
Right.
It is really cool to see another team managing to be at the top, especially for the first time, right? After seeing D2 kind of always taking it. I want to ask about those two teams for EMEA and your personal thoughts about how you think they're gonna match up against whoever is gonna make it to the international stage. Do you think EMEA is just staying at the top with how much both of those teams have been improving, or is there something that you've been watching from another region, maybe NA, that you think would be a little bit more difficult for the EMEA teams?
Or I would say Brazil actually.
Mm.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
that's
That's a good take.
that's what
That's
Dryad wanted to
awesome.
hear.
Team Liquid Brazil, I think they're really like confident and yeah, they look
They're
good
awesome.
in my opinion. I don't know who's gonna win honestly because I have no idea how a game like EMEA versus NA or versus Brazil or even like versus like the Asian region and stuff would look like because the gameplay
Yeah.
is so different. Like
Mhm.
so different. Like I've watched like VODs from Cloud9 White. I've watched like Team Liquid Brazil. We actually screamed against them and like so many things. Like everything's so different, and I don't know how it would
Mm.
look like in an actual tournament. Like I can't
Wow.
tell because it's not a skill. Like it's not a skill thing. Everybody's really skilled and really talented when it comes to like
Mhm.
individuality, but
Mhm.
when it comes to like team play, I have no idea how it's gonna look like.
Yeah, yeah. I want to get back and revisit actually because you're mentioning the leads that you had against Navi, the lead that you that or the win that you could have had against Guild, right? On Ascent. What was going on through the conversations or through the comms that unfortunately led to the victory of that map slipping through your fingers? And what are the learning experience that you get out of these matches to make sure it doesn't happen the next time Tenstar faces these teams?
Lack of experience, I would say, as
Mm.
a team together. Like we didn't find solutions, and that's what cost us the game. We didn't find solutions. We lost clutch, eco, 5 versus 3, 5 versus 2, like, you know, all the things like that made you lose the momentum. And this is
Mhm.
precisely what happened. We lost the momentum. And we work like really well with momentum because we're new team.
Mhm.
So yeah. Also we had a little drama where we didn't have our coach. So yeah.
What happened there? Actually, what happened there with no coach? Are you
Okay.
allowed? Are you allowed to talk about it?
Yeah, I can talk about it. I mean, what happened is that we arrive at the boot camp, and day one we get a text. I mean, our manager gets a text from our old coach saying he's not coming to the boot camp and he's leaving the team.
Oh.
Yeah. So thank God I have this amazing organization that's Tenstar. They find us an emergency coach. They're here for us. They're helping us. Like our manager, like he contacted everyone he could contact to like help us out. So we've had this amazing replacement as a coach who's low. He
Holy.
used to play in OG game. Yeah, OG.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
used to play in
Yep.
OG.
Yep.
So he comes in. He's actually better than the old coach. But yeah, um, it was kind of hard for us to start the game changers because we didn't have a coach.
Wow.
He
That's
just
insane.
disappeared. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
But on top of that, to have an emergency coach come last minute and really not really seeing how the team usually gels together and just be like, this is what I think could run well according to what you guys play, and
Oh,
you
he did
still
so much
get
better.
4th place. But still, I think that I think you should be proud and
Yeah.
happy about that result, no matter what, right?
I mean, I legit believe we would have done better, worse with the other coach than this one. Not to be
Mm.
shady or anything, but like actually, he did so many things for us in such a short amount of time. Like
Hmm.
that made a really good difference, and I don't think it would have happened with the other coach. Honestly, like I doubt that. So the 4th place is good spot, but on the other side, very frustrating because it's not
Mhm.
about like being 4th; it's about the way we're losing
Winning.
games.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
No, you mentioned momentum, and obviously that when you're a new team or a relatively new team together, kind of like momentum can be the glue in the cracks of this, beautiful vase. And you lost some of that, or we're struggling with some of that. And it's a question that was brought up. This is more holistically on the scene and what was going on with Guild X. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on kind of the Viper mollies, the bugs that we've been seeing on the
Mhm.
teams not reading the rulings in some of these, right? Because obviously, if Guild X lose to Ascend, they don't go on to win the whole thing. So I wanted to get your thoughts, or if you had any thoughts on um, just that whole situation.
The only thing I can say is that if I was a Sand, I would be very frustrated. Like, with all respect to Gil, like, I don't know, like, I'm sure they didn't mean to do bad, like, 100%,
Mhm.
because I,
Mhm.
I know how bad Ness felt about this whole situation. But on the other side, if I was from a Sand, I would be very mad. Like, I would be very frustrated. And I don't know, I have to, like, have empathy for both teams, you know, like, I'd maybe, like, Guild would not have won this tournament, or maybe they would have won this tournament. We don't know.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. In the end of the day, they still played those rounds out, and Gildex ended up pulling through. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, there is definitely I would agree with you. There's frustration on both ends, but to be able to keep the resiliency to move forward, win that, and then go into the grand finals, and also beat G2 and a BO5, I think that at least the feathers were ruffled, but they didn't fall, right? So they were still able to soar and fly. So good on Gildex for that for sure.
Definitely. Like, like, I don't know. Things that it's not just about like replaying rounds, it's also about like losing the momentum. You lose a lot of
Yeah.
things. You know, like it's I don't know. This is a
Mhm.
really hard situation to talk about. Like
Yeah, and so that's why I brought it up, right? Because not to like out the players, I do think that there needs to be a communication between the coach and like an understanding going into it, saying because obviously Ness didn't know that you couldn't do that. Had the
yeah,
coach done their due diligence, he could have let the players or they could have let the players know, hey, avoid doing this stuff because we'll get penalized for it. But I figured you would have strong feelings about it because of how much you enjoy that momentum, and in a situation like that you would completely lose it all, even
yeah,
having to go back to do it. You're still kind of pissed off that it happened in the first place. And now, sure, you get a chance to replay it, but shit, everybody's told
precisely,
about it.
precisely. Like that's exactly my point. Like there's a lot of frustration coming in. Like the fact that you have to replay all of that. It's like they replayed from like round 8. I
Mhm.
mean round 8, 8, 9. I don't
Mhm.
know. very frustrating. But on the other side, like I can't say much because I can understand that someone like makes a mistake. So
Yeah.
I believe Ness when she said that she didn't know. But on the other side, I understand when they say that they're very mad and frustrated. 100%
Of
understandable.
course.
And going away a little bit from that topic, I want to ask, and something that we've seen in the Game Changers scene, I think internationally overall, we always see, after Series 1, we saw a couple changes for teams, a couple roster changes. Series 2 was the same thing, and that is happening in NA currently. We also got to see an EMEA in other regions. How much at what point do you think teams are going to start to settle in? Do you think it's going to be just kind of waiting to see what's going to happen with the Game Changer scene next year, and teams are going to stay together for a little bit longer? Or do you think because there's so many teams and there's so many players that kind of come out of nowhere, we're going to keep seeing those constant changes from their rosters?
I would say this is never gonna happen. This is esports. There's always gonna be changes every time. Like it's not just like game changer scene, also male scene. Like
Yeah, of course.
anytime they can get changes, they will change. It is how it is. Like I feel like it's it's not surprising if like a lot of players are getting tried out in new teams and people are trying like to freshen up and try new things. I think it's always gonna happen. They're always gonna like pick up new players, try out new players, things like that.
What's Sorry, go ahead, Tanner. Go ahead.
So I think I'm kind of maybe leading into what you might be leading into here, Vans. But if there is a world where things start to settle down and we do see things partnered on the Game Changer side, would you be willing? I know that you said you wanted to play the French team, but would you be willing to maybe venture into new areas as a player alone, or even a package deal with Kim? Is that something that you would do to travel to the Americas or something like that?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know if I
Given the
can answer to
opportunity.
that.
Okay.
I don't know if I can give my answer, but I would say that before, I, when I was playing in Rigs and I was like, even before Rigs, when I was looking for a team, I would have loved to try it for another region. That's what I can answer to you.
Awesome.
Okay.
And that said, then has there been any conversations of what the support is with Tenstar moving on with the team going into 2023, right? Because I'm pretty sure looking at now everything that's going through the roster shuffles, the talks that's been going on through the partnership program for the men's side, does that instill any type of like doubts, fear as to what's going to happen for the women's side as for you going into 2023 with Tenstar?
Yeah. I mean, as soon as we made to top 4 and we lost our last game, everybody was like, "Oh fuck, what's gonna happen for us now?"
Yeah.
And we got immediate news like 2 days after from our manager telling us everything's gonna be alright. We're keeping the team. We're focusing on you guys. Like
Nice.
everything's gonna be okay. And like once again, thank God we have Tenstar because this like it's an organization that's always been focused on like female development on game changer scene from
Yeah.
like day one. So it would have been weird if they dropped us, but on the other side, yeah, we were scared and it's not happening.
Yeah. And that's awesome too, because now you're confident and you're more comfortable that you have that support. There's less stress, and now that's probably another reason why you're just ready to fucking play as soon as you can, right? And not have to
Yeah.
wait until 2023 until something else is announced. But unfortunately for now, that break is happening. So what's the plan now for Sia going into the next few months before anything gets announced for 2023?
Or gaming. Just playing 24/7. I'm a nerd. I'm a whole nerd. Like I'm just gonna play. Like that's what I want because even if I was frustrated by this top 4, on the other side, it just gave me so much like confidence to go further. Like it's like okay, I got top 4 and we didn't really do anything. Like we
Yeah.
didn't really work for this top 4.
We didn't have a coach.
What if we yeah,
Until
no,
last
precisely.
minute,
We
yeah.
didn't have a coach. Even if when he was there, he wasn't there. You know what I mean? Like he was
Yeah, yeah.
terrible. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's
Sorry.
insane.
Well, I
Like,
mean, I understand that frustration too when somebody's leaving you like that as well, right? So
Yeah.
especially like
I thought
last
it was a
second just getting
joke.
fixed.
I
Yeah, yeah,
legit
yeah.
thought it was a joke. I was like, I was looking at my manager and I was laughing. I was like, no, you're joking. You're kidding. And he was like,
Oh
no, I'm
fuck,
not. And I was like, oh, okay. Wow.
that's amazing. Well, at least there's is there gonna be like some along with the gaming? Are you gonna be streaming that as well, or
Yeah.
yeah, okay, awesome. Where can we find you? Because right now we have your @ as well for Twitter, but what's your stream so we can give some support
Same
over to
at.
Sia? Okay,
Same at. Yeah.
Sia Nael.
Yeah, c'est
Perfect. So now, awesome. Well, Sia, thank you so much for your time. I think that's gonna end it for us for today with you. Do you have any final shout outs you'd like to give out before we end the show here?
Oh, not much. Just always a pleasure to be here. Always a pleasure to be EMEA representation in the female scene here.
Hell yeah.
Thank you for inviting
Yes.
me. Thank you for giving me the exposure that the EMEA scene can get in North America. So thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it.
If anything,
Yeah,
super
thank you.
happy to have you on. So thank you so much for your time as well, and to grace us with your presence. And cheers to more, and cheers to hearing more about Sia in 2023 with Tenstar or
We
wherever your
definitely
career
will
may
hear
lead you.
more.
Hell yeah, that's what I like
Nice.
to fucking
Oh
hear.
yeah.
So with that, my friends, we're gonna close off the show. It's been packed. It's been packed actually. Great conversation with Sia, great conversation with Lace, and also great news going on through in North America, in Latin America, South America, and Europe. We covered a lot of regions. We just didn't get enough
Yeah.
of East Asia. Actually, we did get East Asia. We got Aaron, right? So we
We got
dabbled a
Aaron.
little bit in that too. We dabbled
Yeah.
A
in
little
that
bit of
as well.
everything, yeah.
Exactly. So I'm pretty happy about that. I don't know what you guys think. Tanner, good show.
Yeah, I think it's a great show. Anything that I could do to convince Dryad to be my friend
No.
is, it's okay,
Nope.
well.
Dan, what
Then
can
the show was
Dan,
nothing,
what
then
can
the
he
show
do?
meant
What can he
nothing.
do? What can he do, Dan?
There's
Absolutely nothing.
no, I don't think so.
That's it,
Nope.
man. That's it.
At least next Tuesday we know that we're still gonna have Tanner and myself here for the show for Valoranting. But what's in the store for Dan for the next couple of months?
I started streaming, which is a little
What?
crazy.
Yeah.
It's a little crazy. I started streaming and I love it.
Actually,
because
you know
I get
what?
to do English and Spanish.
I just did fake surprise face, but I think I saw you tweet that you're gonna finish
Yeah.
Stray and stuff like that too. You're doing some variety games.
I'm grinding.
Hell yeah.
I'm doing like a little bit of Valorant. I was co-streaming the APAC GameChangers. I'm gonna keep
Mhm.
co-streaming the APAC GameChangers in the next week. And yeah, we also have GameChangers coming up. It got announced that we're all working that event. So hey.
Hell yeah. This weekend, all three of us are going to be cast into Game Changers, and make sure you guys catch us there. It starts on Thursday on twitch.tv/Valorant.
Valorant,
But I was
yep.
going to say, because
Yep.
I had D and Peak, because that's where you're going to have to tune in every Tuesday right over here. So at least we'll cover what happened for Game Changers that's going to happen this weekend. So thank you all so much for tuning in for this week. See you next week once again, and arrivederci.